जब से कॉलेज शुरू हुआ है या उससे भी पहले, व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड द कोर्स और व्हेन यू थॉट ऑफ हैविंग दिस कोर्स, फ्रॉम दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम यू हैव बीन लिसनिंग दिस वर्ड स्पीच लैंग्वेज पैथोलॉजी. व्हाट इज स्पीच लैंग्वेज? और उसमें अभी एक कम्युनिकेशन वर्ड भी ऐड हो गया है. सो व्हाट इज़ द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस स्पीच लैंग्वेज एंड कम्युनिकेशन? So in this unit, in this chapter, we will be studying in detail what is speech, what is the meaning of language, what is communication, what are the differences, and what are the similarities in all of this, and also what are their components, what it is made up of. Okay, now I will be sharing this concept in a very easy words. Okay, if you understand this, then you don't have to study much. Okay, but please pay attention. If you get it right now, then only you will get it, otherwise it is difficult to understand afterwards. Okay, so let's assume that we have a hero called Rahul. Okay, and Rahul likes a girl called Anjali. I hope none of your names are Rahul and Anjali. This is hypothetical example. So Rahul is from Audiology college. So he meets Anjali in the same college, and he likes her. So he wants to propose her. Okay. Now outside the college, so Rahul and Anjali meets. So Rahul calls her. He says, just to get her attention, I'll take myself here. So just to get her attention, he says, and says, excuse me. That's it. Okay. So they are standing outside the BSLP. I hope he's not doing inside the college. So this guy is proposing her outside the college. So now he says only this thing, and excuse me. Now what has happened in this process? इसमें हुआ है the act of speech. What is speech? It's a physical part of the speaking. It's a physical act of a speaking. Okay, so some physical dimensions are involved. So what are those dimensions? One is respiration. Okay, so before he gathers the confidence and courage to talk to a girl, he has to take a deep breath, right? Then there will be power in the lungs to say something, otherwise he will run out of breath. होता है ना, when you want to propose, sometimes you run out of the breath. So this guy takes all the courage. Before that, he takes a breath. So respiration is very important. When you inhale, the oxygen, the air is going in the lungs. Lungs is like giving a power to whatever the next step is going to come. What is the next step? Phonation. What is phonation? So whatever excuse me, this has some sound as a base. It has a sound. Is a sound. A, X, Q, S, E. All these are sounds. Okay. So how the sounds are produced, we will be studying in detail. But just to give a brief idea, we have vocal folds here, and when the air is passing through the air tract, vocal tract, then these vocal folds are like vibrating. So air is passing through like this, vocal folds are coming together and vibrating. That interruption of the airflow creates the sound. Okay, so when I say okay, what I am doing, I am exhaling the air. At the same time, now to speak, I am closing my vocal folds. So in phonation, what will happen? There will be vibration. Okay, so that becomes the phonation. Then comes the articulation. Articulations means what? Now this raw sound is coming. Okay. Now there are articulators here. What are the articulators? Starting from lips, okay, then teeth, then tongue, then the soft palate, hard palate, and uvula. So all these changes how sound will be pronounced. So if I say the same phonation, and in that if I just change my lip movements, up, 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 up. So what is happening? The articulations are changing. Okay. Similarly, if I take my tongue and touch at the back of my teeth, then it becomes the, 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 right? So all the sounds, whatever we are hearing, is most of them are interfered flow of phonation. So there is a phonation which is happening. These structures are just creating interference in that, and then it is creating a certain sound. That is articulation. Okay. Then comes the resonance. Resonance is basically, mainly we have two resonances. One is oral resonance and the other is nasal. So when I say ah, sound is coming from the mouth. Okay. And Himesh Reshamia. Okay. So in our times when we were in college, Himesh Reshamia was a very big singer. Okay. Still, if you can listen to his voices, his old songs, mostly he sang from nose. So whenever sound is resonated in the nasal cavity, then becomes a nasal sound. So is oral sound, it is coming from the mouth directly. The resonance happening in the nasal cavity. How it is happening? Basically the uvula is there. Uvula, whenever you want to say oral sound, it goes up, it closes the nasal cavity. When you want to say nasal sounds, it closes down, it opens up the nasal cavity. The phonation or the air passes through nasal cavity, and then we say okay. So these are the resonances. And the prosody. Prosody is how it is said. There are again different aspects of prosody. So prosody has again mainly three aspects. One is stress. Where it was stressed. Where was stress again? Excuse me. This is different than excuse me, right? So in excuse me, so we are giving stress on excuse and me, like that. Okay. Sometimes the prosody change, the stress changes the meaning itself. I love football. I love football, right? So where you are giving stress on a particular word or a sound in the sentence also changes the meaning of it, right? So it involves stress. It also has intonation. Intonation means what? Basically, what is a tone of voice, tone of speech? So it is like, excuse me. This is a more polite way of saying, excuse me. This is more of you're asking for it or demanding or commanding. Okay. Then there's also one more dimension, rhythm. Rhythm is what is the way the person is speaking in a you can say what is the tempo or the speed at which it is saying, like excuse me, excuse me. So both sound different, right? So that rhythm, stress, intonation, all these things includes the another things, respiration, phonation, articulation, resonance. So all this comes under the umbrella of a speech. Okay, I hope this is clear. what is, see, we will go into definitions and all, what is theory for exam you will require it, but you should know what is the basis, what are the basics of the concept. Right now we are learning only concept, okay? Theory we will go into it afterwards. Also, one more thing you will see, that this word. So see, he said, right? What is the meaning of There is no meaning of right? It is just he is grabbing attention, okay? But it is a speech. So speech can be meaningful or meaningless. It may not always be meaningful. See, excuse me is meaningful, fine, but has no meaning. Okay, so I can say so this is also speech actually, okay, but it doesn't have any meaning as such. Okay, so now our hero is has succeeded in taking her attention. Now let's see what happens next. Oh my god, he has proposed her. He's gone down on his knees and he has proposed her. So depending upon, he said it's 4 years of course, let me not directly ask for will you marry me, because she has to start earning and first complete the course and then start earning. So till then, just for trial purpose, he has chosen to ask as a girlfriend. At the same time, he is saying I love you. Okay, so let's see. So what has happened here is, it's a more of a language. Now we will see the concept of a language in this slide. Now here, language is about the structured system of meaning. Language is always meaningful. There may or may not be speech. Okay, for example, if I say, okay, so I communicated, I this is my sign language, right? So you understood, I am saying come, be silent, or I'll hit you. Okay, so this is the language, but there was no speech. Okay, but there was a meaning to it. Language is always meaningful. In speech, when I saw this example, anything, this is full of speech, but there is no meaning to this, so it's not a language. So most important this will be here is a meaningful. And what is structured system? Structured means there are rules and laws of the language. For example, say our English language, it has rules, where verb will come, where subject will come, how the sentence structure should be there, where should be dot. So every language, may it be a verbal, non-verbal, written, digital, whatever, in codes, right? Every language has its own structured system. Okay, now here when we say speech and language, we have 1 2 3, we are not studying any other language here. So we have 5 components. These 5 components are very important for language point of view. One is sound pattern, phonology. Okay, these words might be very new for you, but very easy to understand. Phono is sound, and logy is a science. Okay, so it's a science of the sound. Now, which are the sounds here in the first sentence? One is, so I'll write here, VIL, will, Y, U, B, A, Y. Okay, so in the first word sentence, if you say will you be mine, so in there are different sounds are there, V, E, L. It's not L, it's L actually. I'm not talking English letters, I'm talking about sounds. So L will not be pronounced as L, it will be pronounced as L. Okay. When you go ahead, we will be studying in linguistics how these sounds are written. Okay. So for example, this is L. Okay. Now in Marathi, we have L, which is not there in many other languages. So how that will be pronounced? So it will be done like this and a dot. It becomes L. So it's a universal presentation of the sound. Any linguist who knows how to read this will be able to read it across the world anywhere. He will understand how exactly the pronunciation will happen. Okay. So that's very nice part. We will be studying it soon. So other word will be U, right? So it becomes here U, Y, and U. Then B. Then Y, my. So these are different phonemes. What is called as phonemes. Generally, they are shown in brackets. So if I want to show L, I'll be showing, okay, create not bracket, in two vertical lines like this. I want to write then I'll write like this. Okay, so this is the way of it is presenting. So when we are talking about a smallest unit of sound, is actually phoneme. Okay, so all these you can say. So in girlfriend, how it will be? G, L, F, R, A, N, D. Okay, how it is written in English is a different thing. Okay, in English you may not pronounce. Now here, if you see properly, there is I. We are not pronouncing I actually. We are pronouncing E, girlfriend. Even if you take out I from this, still it will be pronounced as girlfriend, right? But in linguistics, it's not the same. We pronounce each and every, whatever we pronounce, that only we write. Okay, so that's a phoneme. So it's a single syllable, single unit, a smallest unit of the language. Okay, then comes the morphology. What is morphology? Morphology is nothing but the word structure. Now there is this word is there. Will is one word. Can it be divisible word? Can it be we and l? There is no meaning, right? So it's not a word. You, yeah, it's a single word. Can we say we cannot divide it more? This is the smallest meaningful word. So, okay. B, again we cannot divide it. So, and again, and my. These are all words, morphology. But as we come to this word, so girlfriend, so it has actually two words, girl and friend, right? So this becomes a bound morpheme, means they are coming together. So another word, suppose I say ball. Okay, so this becomes a free morpheme, right? So it is not attached with anybody, anything else, then becomes free morpheme. But if you say balling, then this ing becomes a bound morpheme. Okay, this ing becomes a bound morpheme. There are again various types of morphemes and all. We will go in few important details, but not in much details in the upcoming definitions. So you understand, morpheme becomes the smallest meaningful structure, word structure. Okay, so here how many morphemes are there? So will 1, you 2, be 3, my 4, girl 5, friend 6, and here also I 7, love 8, and you 9. Around 9 morphemes are there. Okay. Now comes the syntax. What is syntax? It's a word order. How all the words are placed. Again, every language has its own rules कि कहाँ पे क्या आने वाला है. तो यहाँ पे will you be my girlfriend, It's optimal way of saying. Can he say that girlfriend will buy you me, or girlfriend my will you be? No, right? So if I change the words order, then it can become meaningless or it can become some other meaning. Okay, so I love her, her I love will not have any meaning. But Rahul loves Anjali and Anjali loves Rahul are different things. Anjali may not love Rahul, right? So word structure, the word order becomes very important. That is syntax. I think this is easy to understand. Next is semantics. Semantics is about the meaning of the word. So, will you be my girlfriend? It's a question. Okay. So, what are the meaning of the word? If it is not meaningful, then it may not be considered as a language. As I said, the meaning has to be there. Okay. Then there are lexical semantics and pragmatics, and but a lot of types are there in semantics. But right now, this basic information is good enough for us. And the last and very very important comes the pragmatics. Pragmatics is nothing but the social appropriateness. How are we talking as per what is around us? Okay, see, he is proposing outside BASLP college, not inside, not in front of teachers, right? Not in front of her father. So he's smart. So that is pragmatics, the social awareness. Okay, somebody is coming, whenever somebody coming to you greeting, you respond in a certain way, right? You greet that person, you say hi, hello. So this is pragmatics. So this is about more of a social awareness or social use of language. Okay, now he has proposed, our Rahul, our hero. Let's see what happens to him. His proposal gets accepted or rejected. Oh, she's smiling. Okay, she has not said anything till now. See, this guy goes, takes her attention, says, oh, excuse me, and he goes on down on his knees and he says, will you be my girlfriend? I love you. Okay, but she has just smiled. She has not said anything till now. Okay, now what has happened is we have a complete communication cycle has been achieved. Okay, so communication is what? It's an overall exchange of meaning. Okay, so for a communication it has to be a two-way thing. There has to be a sender and there has to be a receiver. Okay, if this guy is just practicing inside, proposal inside his own room, then it's not a communication. It can be a speech, it can be a language, but no communication, right? So for the communication to happen, there has to be somebody to receive, right? Because it's an exchange of meaning. So communication will have components. What are those components? One is sender. Okay, so sender is actually initiates. So here the boy has started the communication process, right? So the boy has went and asked for her attention. Then the message is delivered. The message. So first is sender and the message. Whatever message he wants to say, he has message he wants to say. He has that idea what he wants to say. Now the medium. So here he's used the verbal medium. It can be text, it can be written, it can be digital, right? So what kind of medium you are using? Okay, so here it's a spoken words, right? So it's a verbal way, or gestures can be used. Now this is one part. Okay, now important is the receiver. Receiver, the other person, has to listen or receive. If it is verbal, definitely it's a listening. If it is a written, then it becomes visual, right? Again, it becomes digital, it becomes visual. So the girl has received the message, okay, and very important, the feedback given. That means he's appreciated that I have received it, okay. That means once you send WhatsApp message, you get double tick, blue double tick, then the communication is completed, right? So here she has, यहाँ पे she has smiled, okay. In your case it might be a slap, okay, don't know. So whatever feedback is there, then we say the communication is completed, okay. So communication, one part is on the part of the sender, so it goes, information is going, another is more towards the receiver, okay. Then we say the communication is completed. So this is a speech, language and communication triad, okay. I hope this is understood. Now we will go through some theory and what are the definitions and all, but the concept is this much only. If you understand basics of concept, then we can build upon it. There can be some terminology, new things, but very easy to understand. So if you see some part, they are together, some parts are overlapping. So if I say oh, will come here somewhere, oh, it's a whatever, okay. So you understand. So it's a speech, there is no language. Yeah, communication happened, you got attention. But somebody if just say oh, then just a speech. Language is, okay, this is more of saying excuse me, this was the language. And the communication, when she responded to his proposal, whatever positive or negative way, that becomes the communication, okay. So sometimes there can be both speech and communication is possible, okay. Speech and language is only possible, all three together also possible. There can be language without communication can be there. When I said, so there is no speech but the language has happened, okay. There can be, but there will not be a speech actually, there will not be a communication without the language, there has to be some language, okay. So we will go in theory part now onwards. Now this till then it was concept, so I took it slowly. From now onwards I will go little fast, okay. Introduction to a triad. Speech and language communication is interconnected, but yes, they are also distinct. Each plays very important role in human communication. Now it's a broad term. When we say communication, it's a broad term. It has a social dynamic process to exchange ideas, needs and emotions. It can be verbal, it can be non-verbal, it can be paralinguistics. There are different modes how are we communicate. Paralinguistics means without the use of language also we can communicate, right. There are different components as we saw in our example. One is message, okay, medium. One we start from a sender, then comes the message, then it's a medium, what medium has been used, then the receiver, then feedback is given, and also they have added context, situation, where this is more of towards a pragmatic, what is the situation. So it is very important for communication to happen that all the components must be functional, and then only the effective communication will happen. And clinical insight means what is the clinical importance of understanding this. Non-verbal modes may compensate for speech and language deficit. See, what happens is, consider an example of a child who cannot hear, and because he cannot hear, he cannot speak, okay. Speech development is quite heavily dependent on how the hearing is there, okay. So because of that, how he will communicate with his mother that he is hungry, because he cannot speak, he can just say this, right, then he communicates. So then what it's saying is non-verbal modes means I am not required to speak anything. So non-verbal modes can compensate for a speech and language deficits. Language is, we learned about communication. The language is more of a cognitive and linguistic. What is cognitive? Cognition means which involves the brain process which involves thinking. Okay, and linguistics is more of a use of sounds, as we saw s, e, l. So all the sounds are required. So it is symbolic. There are symbols. Symbols is depend. Suppose in English we say like this, m. In linguistics we may say like this is ma, or actually it is like this, ma. English may it becomes like this. In Marathi it becomes like this, right? So these are the different symbols through which we can represent. It's a rule governed, as we saw, no? We have studied, we discussed in detail. There are the rules for every language. There is a rule, and used to encode and decode the meaning. Right now, I am speaking in a language. I hope you are understanding in English. So this is encoding. I am encoding the language. It is going to you, and whatever information you have, whatever vocabulary you have of the English, you are decoding it. There can be some words which you don't understand, then you can't decode it, right? You have to learn it again. Then only once you learn, you decode it. So this encoding and decoding happens in the language. Now there are different domains, okay, as we have already gone into this depth. So first is phonology, where the sound pattern is there. Only p, b, k, whatever all sounds are there. Morphology we studied that jump is a more free morpheme. Jumping becomes a bound morpheme. Okay. Then there is a syntax. This is sentence structure. Okay. Will you be my girlfriend, or girlfriend will you be mine? So what should be the word order? Semantic, it has to be meaningful. Everything is there, but there is no meaning. So if I say tiger sitting on the lap of the mouse, though it has no meaning on this specifically, right? So there's a word structure is there, sentence word structure is right, or but it has no meaning as such, right? So this is meaning is important, and then becomes the pragmatic, social appropriateness. Okay, if it is a serious situation, you are not laughing and speaking. Okay, that is more of a pragmatics. What is phonology? Again, we are going little bit detail into all these terms. Phonology is inventory. What inventory means kya? What is inventory? Basically, it's a stock. It's a stock of all sounds. Okay, and there are some phonotactic rules. What should come first? What should come later? There are some rules we will see. Not required right now. So it's a rule based. Suppose for clinical, what should be understood is there are front thing like cluster reduction. So it's somebody, for the word is kshatriya, and for the word ksha, he is saying katriya, he is saying only k. It becomes a cluster reduction. There is a word of sound, it is reduced to only one sound. Okay, so it is important to understand phonology, then only we can document these errors. Fronting is there. So suppose for word chacha, somebody is saying tatya, so cha becomes ta. It's a fronting, it's going towards the front, right? So these errors, somebody, suppose you are taking any patient with misarticulation, then you should be able to write those misarticulations. Okay, then you compare them with the right way of pronouncing, then you understand what is the pattern happening. So this phonology has the role mostly in the misarticulation cases. Okay, then comes the morphology. Morphology is using the words either free morpheme, free or bound. So again, free is this, cat is free, and bound is whatever comes afterwards. We are putting another thing, cat become cats, or run becomes running, then becomes bound morpheme. Okay, then also called inflectional morpheme. Inflection means what? So cats, yeah, so grammatical markers. So when the cat become cats, it becomes inflectional. Okay, so free morphemes coming together with the bound morpheme becomes the inflectional morpheme. And derivation means from one word you are finding the another word. So teach becomes teacher. Okay, So suppose catch becomes caught. It has come from catch. Okay, but there are no specific bound morpheme to it. It becomes a different word altogether. Then it becomes a derivational morpheme. There are basically 4 types of morpheme. So in DLD means delayed language disorder. Okay, so somebody is having a delay in speech understanding, they're the child, then they may not be able to use these morphemes properly. Okay, so he may say, I had 2 fruit today. He's supposed to say, I had 2 fruits today. Okay, so he may not be able to use those morpheme. Syntax again becomes very important. That about the word structure we already studied. The word order becomes important. What is the sentence type? It's a question sentence, a statement question, sentence. Is it a simple or a complex? Complex is like getting 2 types of, like, I had bath, and then I went to school. That becomes more of a complex structure. And clinical implication will be what level does a patient is using the sentence or a syntax. If he is at 5 years old, then he should be able to use complex sentences, but still he is using simple sentences, right? Is he using the words in a correct word order or not? If it is a question, it should sound like a question. Okay, so that becomes it can be at the both. It can be comprehension difficulty, means the child is not understanding the syntax itself, he is not understanding it's a question. आप उसको पूछ रहे हो but he is not answering, he is not understanding it's a question, right? So that comes under the syntax. That's its clinical implication. Semantics again we have seen as a meaning of the language. So इसमें क्या है कि vocabulary knowledge is important. So vocabulary is there. At the same time, semantic relationships means what is the meaning of one word to the other word. So understanding word and their relationship. So synonyms means what? Similar words. Water, jal, nira. This becomes semantics. Similar words. Antonyms, categories. Antonyms is opposites. So day, night. Antonyms. Okay, categories. In one particular category, list the names of the fruits. Then you should be able to name the fruit. Put all the fruits in that category. Chair should not come in the fruit category, right? So this is all part of a semantics. Figurative language or idioms. Figurative language is more like it's given here. The training, it's raining cats and dogs, right? So we don't take it as literal meaning. It's a non-literal meaning, right? Then you think like it's not really raining cats or dogs. We are saying it's too many cats and dogs, right? Then we say raining cats and dogs. So it's more of a non-literal idioms or phrases. मुहावरे जिसे हम बोलते हैं ना, हाँ, उसमें हम we will put them in the semantic category. Clinical note, word finding issues, abstract language difficulty. So the person might have word finding issues or abstract language difficulty. Okay, so there are children who may not understand if they can take the meaning literally. Okay, right now also when you are new to English, you also sometimes tend to take the meaning very literally. Suppose the word is school of thought, you might really think there is some school which is of thought, right? But the meaning of school of thought is different, right? So like this, there can be children who are having understanding the abstract language mean difficulty. Okay, so suppose somebody says treat this as your home. Okay, that doesn't really mean that you own the house, right? It's a non-literal meaning. So this is common in various language disorder. Specifically, we will see in autism and all. There's a challenge when it comes to semantics. And very, very important, very crucial, pragmatics. It's a conversational rule and speech act. There can be again figurative and indirect language use. Okay. Figurative is as simple as smile. We can just smile at each other. There are some instances when somebody you're meeting somebody new, you smile at him or her, she smiles back. Okay, but there are uh, there are challenges with the patients with social language impairment. If you smile, they may not smile you back at you. They may not understand that it's a way of exchanging communication. Okay, so ASD is autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum disorder. Okay, TBI is traumatic brain injuries. Okay, when there is a brain injury because of some accident. Okay, then there is something called as aphasia that happens, loss of language, and then there can be a social language impairment. Okay, so all these actually are the interplay of language domains, and language domains are they are interact, they are not exclusively present, they're always interacting with each other, and then the whole thing actually becomes a language. It's a forming a sentence requires coordination across all domains. Okay, that's fine, just an example. Okay, and the clinical application will be intervention often targets multiple levels. So mostly depending upon what is the assessment you do, जो भी आप टेस्ट करोगे सबसे you will understand what is really lacking. Is it pragmatics is a challenge, main challenge, or semantics or syntax? Mostly it is never exclusive. There will be one area is affected and then there will be another area which will be affected. So mostly are well, that's what sentence intervention often targets the multiple levels. Okay, speech, which we saw first initially, this has respiration, phonation, articulation, resonance, prosody. We will go in little more detail very quickly. Respiration and phonation, yeah, they are put together. We have one is subglottal. What is subglottal? Sub means below, below. Glottal means actually यहाँ पे vocal fold है. Subglottal air pressure generation. Respiration is all about how much air the pressure is generated. If there is very big flow of when you're tired and you just can't speak, you are so hungry, whole day you will not eat, what will happen? There is no force, there is no power in your lungs, so the pressure reduces, right? So that is respiration. Okay, and then the phonation, vocal fold phonation, right? As we discussed, there is a vocal fold, and when we say vibrate, then the sound will come. That's the phonation. Okay, now weak respiratory support or dystonia, then Parkinson's there is a weakness in those muscles, and there's a nodule means on the vocal fold there is that nodule or the outgrowth has come. Then it can hamper your phonation. Okay, so this is respiration and phonation. Another one is articulation and resonance. So articulators include tongue, lips, jaw. These create distinct sounds. So when we make use of only lips, then pa, pa, ba, pa, ma, these are labials, right? Then we can say ta, tha, da, dha, na. This is more of a dentals, right? The teeth are used, right? So these are articulators. Resonance, as we studied, nasal and oral. Becomes oral resonance. Becomes nasal resonance. So in apraxia is one of the speech disorder. Okay, cleft, there is more of a articulator which is gets affected, and in cleft palate it's a resonance mostly, articulation also, but mostly resonance because it's a cleft. The palate we have, right? Soft palate and hard palate we have studied. In that there is a cleft, means they are separated. There is a gap in the palate. Because of that, even if you want to say it becomes ma, right? Because the sound is going through the nasal cavity. And the last one is the prosody. Prosody, as we studied, there is intonation. What is the way it is said? What is the pattern? And then the stress, on which word we have given stress, and the rhythm. Then what is it's communicating is the emotion. Is the person angry, sad, neutral? What are the sentence type? Are we questioning something, we are asking, or we are stating a statement? Emphasis, where this emphasis is given. Okay, so depending upon that also the meaning will change, right? So in ASD, or autism spectrum disorder, it's more of a flat. They talk in a tone, there will not be much intonation, they will talk in the same tone. Okay, Parkinson's will also have the monotone. Okay, so there are distinctions and overlaps. Communication is a more of a broad term. It includes gesture also. Lecture means the gestures. Okay. AAC. AAC actually nothing but the alternative and augmentative communication. Alternative. What is alternative? Is more of we are giving other way of doing communication. If sometimes if what happens when you are in the class, right? You cannot speak to you want to speak to a friend but you can't speak, right? So what you do, you write on a note and then you pass it. This is more of alternative communication. We will be studying in detail, and there is also an argumentative communication. Language is more of abstract rule system. It can exist without speech, right? As I said, language, it can be written language also. It doesn't require speech. So it is but it also always have a rule. It always have a meaning, and speech is a physical part of it. So it may not have a rule, it may not have a meaning, but there will be only a verbal part. Okay, so I think that's it. Clinical example, we will see which disorders, which part of the whole, all of these things we discussed will get affected. One is aphasia. Suppose there is a brain injury, and because of stroke, then there is a aphasia, is a loss of language. Then it becomes a language issue, and sometimes speech is also intact. So imagine a person who is good at speaking, but there is no language. So how can he say like मला पाणी रात्री school भूक चपाती भाजी, something like that. He just can speak, but there is no meaning to it. Understood? So I was speaking Marathi, right? Sorry. Dysarthria is a more of the speech meaning and everything is there. The language is intact. Okay, the language is there, but the speech motor issue. Motor means output. So output, there is the issue. So what happens is there is a slurness of speech. It's slurred. Slurred means what? If I say I want to go to college, they may speak as I want to go to college today. Okay, this is not Spanish or anything. So there is a general slurring of speech. The articulation is not very precise. Okay, ASD, autism spectrum disorder, which is in children, it is more of a pragmatic language difficulty. Okay, DSL, morphosyntax deficits. So there is morphology and syntax, both are affected. The word structures are also affected. Also the morphemes we studied, bound morphemes or derivational morphemes, those morphemes also they may not have understood to express themselves in those morphemes, or they may not understand itself also. So comprehension or expression, both can be problem. And hearing loss is something which because the child cannot hear, that impacts all levels. That means he cannot speak, he cannot create words, he does not have proper articulations. So the phonation is affected, the resonance is affected because of this, because he doesn't get the feedback. He speaks more from the nose than the pitch, the phonation gets affected, becomes more high pitch, right? So these are the effects of the hearing loss. So this is just, I have put assessment. I just wanted to say that we can test all of these things. Okay, so speech is tested for what? Intelligibility, understanding, prosody, how it is. There are different tests. Phonology, there is different tests are there. So there are different tests I have listed. In our clinical thing, we will be going through the test whenever required. Okay, so basically what I am saying is here, there is a certain aspect and we measure it through a certain instrument which is important. So we understand कि exactly problem क्या है patient को, कौन से areas में problem है, क्या वो एक ही एरिया में प्रॉब्लम है कि मल्टीपल एरियाज में प्रॉब्लम है, किस एरिया में ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम है और किस टाइप का प्रॉब्लम है. सो ये सारे डिटेल्स हम समझते हैं थ्रू द टेस्ट. ओके, तो जो टेस्ट करके वी विल स्टडी दोस टेस्ट. नॉट ऑल ऑफ देम वी विल स्टडी, सम ऑफ द टेस्ट वी हैव इन सिलेबस राइट नाउ, देन वी विल स्टडी. Intervention planning becomes very important. Okay, then speech goals. Okay, language goals, we have communication goals, we have to consider context and everything. So for every whatever the areas affected, we design the goals as per that. That's the whole thing it is saying. Don't pay attention to all of these things, the text not required for you. Okay, so summary is, it's a communication is multimodal exchange, language is symbolic system, speech is a physical output. Okay, so it helps us to, once you know the proper differences, components of all of these, then we can better target our intervention. Okay, and always ask, is the issue with the form, content, use or output? So I think that's it about the whole thing. I hope you have understood it to a great extent. Okay, whatever you not understood, please put it in the link in the form, Google form, fill it up, give your feedback. Okay, see you in the next lesson.